Terry Lindebreuil. This is a sampling of my workshop of Dancing with Stardust, Applications of the Spectrum Color Approach.
Quite right. This is our traditional color wheel with red, yellow, and blue as your primary colors and the secondary. I think you're all familiar with that. Is there anyone that not very familiar with your traditional color wheel? They still teach it. This was originally designed by, well, Newton came up with a theory, and then Goethe was the first one to actually put it down and paint it on paper, which I find interesting. But that was way back, and since the late around 1665, kind of, took the prism and divided color and came up with a basic color theory. Boutet, can't say his name, sorry, Boutet, in later on, this is like the first actual painted color wheel that they had designed, and you can see it's a little more, it's kind of interesting. It's not exact to the color wheel. This one, see, the red is across from your cyan, which is kind of a blue-green. And here, the yellow is across from this purple. Goethe came up with the prismatic color wheel, red and green, and this is the one that we still basically use today. So it looks more like this. So you have your primary, red, blue, and yellow, and your secondaries, orange, kind of purple and green. I think I'm going to leave this up. And again, I apologize, but most of you have printed this up already. What I have done here is I have taken in a box the primary of the triadic and the primary of the spectrum color wheel and kind of put them together. So I've got like a lemon yellow here. This is a cadmium yellow. We were talking yesterday about the different colors that different pastel companies name it. I am based in traditional, so I call them by, not the fancy cool names, but this is a cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow dark, which is a darker yellow. There's your orange, a pure red. But go ahead and just quickly do a couple quick little sketches to kind of get a feeling of this tree. Now what I'm doing is I'm just taking my vine charcoal, standing it on its side, staying very loose, kind of finding the gestural aspects of the tree. It doesn't have to be perfect because the tree is not a face. So trying to, becoming a little more familiar with what you're going to be putting into color. If you see, I have this turned kind of on its side, and I'm trying to keep a larger screen here so you can see the colors as well as what I'm working on. And then I just turn it using the side of the stick, which I do often with pastel as well. Nice thing about pastel is you can kind of paint with it, which is like areas of color, and you can also kind of draw with them. And it's so versatile. It's just exciting. So you're getting a feeling of the tree, and you want to just kind of let go a little bit. Go a little bit with abandonment, and just you're having fun, hopefully. I'm telling you, you're all having fun, okay?
Yes, sir.
So play around with it. Loosen up. If you find you're too tight, switch hands. Do it with your other hand. It's not really our dominant hand has more practice, but it's basically our minds that are painting this tree. And I've turned it to black and white, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But a lot of it has died because of this blight, and it reveals the beautiful shapes of the sticks and the directions, and each branch is going off. Most branches on trees, especially fir and pine and things, the tip-top ones are light and they reach upward. And then as they get to the middle part, they start kind of reaching out to the sides. And then there's these masses, and you don't want to draw every little stick. You want to create a nice mass there of shape. And then as the larger branches get lower, they get heavier and they start hanging down and hanging down. And still sometimes the tips will try to reach up. So we're going to try this. We're going to try the classic color wheel, red, yellow, blue, and we're going to work with this spectrum color wheel. So we're going to do one little sketch of the tree of each. Primary colors for the classic and the spectrum, secondary and secondary.
Oh.
And then we're going to do the complements and then the split complements. And let me illustrate what I'm talking about once I find this. All right. So this is the spectrum color wheel. So our primary colors are the magenta, cyan, and yellow on this. So, and let me walk through this. These are our primary, 1, 2, and 3. Where in the classic, it would be red, yellow, and blue. Does that make sense? So if you want to take a quick note, our first one will be, the classic will be red, yellow, blue, and the spectrum primary ones will be magenta, cyan, and yellow. And I'll step by step this as we go through. The secondary colors will be the combination, the ones that are in between. What's between magenta and yellow is red on this particular color wheel. So that's a secondary scheme. A complementary color scheme is taking what is opposite the color wheel. So here's one, we'll say it was basically magenta, then the complement of that is that yellow-green or green-yellow, sorry. No, it's a yellow-green, it's on the green side, right? So anyway, in that area. Or you can choose red and cyan. And we'll see a difference between what the primaries of the classic wheel do and what the primaries of this spectrum wheel do. I'm going to start with the primaries. In the classic mode here, we have, so our first one is going to be, red, yellow, and blue. Red, yellow, and blue. And you can mix it up. You know, you can have the main part of the tree be blue, yellow in the sky, and red down in the ground or something. Mix it up however you want. What if the primary part of the tree were yellow? I'd like to have a variety of these for you guys. And I would start with the ultramarine. So I'm comfortable with this little tree now, and I'm just going to put it in there. I'm not even looking at my sketch now because I'm pretty familiar with it. And for right now, we're just playing with the colors. Where'd my rag go? And red, yellow. See how your yellow stick will pick up that blue. So I want to keep it clean and just give it a quick wipe as I come in closer to that. I know I need to do that. Remember, you can always, I learned this a lot too from, I have to do this a lot when I'm on Zoom. I have to switch up my hands because I don't want to get too much in the way of the camera. I kind of went with the traditional, you know, you think blue, it's kind of more in the tree area. Whoop, picked up the wrong red.
Oh, you changed colors. Why?
Now, most of us in our right minds would never do a full painting of the 3 primary colors. It's too bright, it's too bold. But by working through this exercise today, when we move on to the things we'll be doing like this afternoon and tomorrow, it will start make it more interesting. This is giving you options. All right, this is Will's. So let's see. This is your classic color wheel. Is it straight down here, Will, like this?
It's 3 across, and then 2 at the bottom were the last 2. So that would have been the spectrum, I believe.
Okay, so this is your primary triad with the classic and the spectrum, yes?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And wow, look at these. This is nice because they're very close, but look at the difference of the effect and the feeling you get with the emotions of these colors just by doing that. There's the second. Woo! Oh, you have some great possibilities. Your marks are really nice too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of
Look,
mixed up on my split compliments. They are split compliments, but I don't think I necessarily got them in the right.
right. And split complements, you should actually have 3 colors, your primary color and then 2 colors off to each side. I mean, this is
Yeah,
fine,
so
but
I guess I just picked a color, not a primary color. Or it wasn't the red, yellow, or blue, or magenta, cyan, yellow.
right. It doesn't have to be the primary
Oh,
colors. You can make
okay.
a split complement starting anywhere. What I'm going to allow you to do, like I have any control over this at all, is this is an example here of this starts with the same color, sort of a red magenta here on each side. This is high saturation, high chroma. And this row here, basically, I mean, I did get some of the red over here, is basically going to gray. That's where I had that neutral gray in my pick. And in order to neutralize the color and come to a more balanced area, I use differing amounts of gray or that red magenta to get this.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to use gray. What you're going to use is its complement. So we're starting with the red magenta, and it's kind of a greenish cyan here. And I'm looking at the colors that are here, not actually the colors that I used. But going from one to the other and by layering and blending them, you come out with quite a neutral and actually new colors. So this is going to give you a whole range of kind of new colors by using just 2 colors. You will use the pure hues. You're not going to use any shades or any tints.
No, I meant with this glazing that you're doing.
Right, with the glazing or the
you've
blending.
got 6 different, yeah.
Yeah, and that's only 6. I mean, you can make it larger too. For instance, in this one, you can mix the yellow with the blue, blue with the, so you've got a lot more options there. Even though you're using full intense hues, pure hues, that's going to give you more options. But it is going to come out as a very intense painting because they're all high chroma.
Okay.
And tomorrow we'll move into the softening of that. So this will be our first exercise this morning, if you're ready for this. And I'll be talking about this as we go along. But to understand this concept, I just have a white sheet of paper here. And if you want, you can put a dot in the middle of your paper. Or you can use the index card. And what you're going to do is for about 30 seconds, you're going to stare at this white star that's in the middle of the flag. And you have to really kind of focus your eyes and stay on that. And then we'll remove that. And then you look at the black dot here. And you're waiting to see the retinal persistence after vision. The way our rods and cones work in our eyes, you know, if you look at something too long, they get fatigued. And they're always trying to balance out the color. So when we look at this so long, those get fatigued. You look at a plain white paper and you see the exact opposite of those colors visually. Is that making sense what I'm explaining?
It's pretty cool.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Although I didn't get the stars.
The stars didn't come out white?
No.
Are people getting the after image?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That comes out the natural colors of the flag, right?
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
get the stars either.
The stars are rather small. They're kind of hard to see. But that the black turns out white, I mean, that's showing that it's an opposite. And if one color is darker, then the retinal opposite is going to be a lighter color. So we can only do this so long before our eyes just get totally fatigued. But
Yeah.
yeah, right. But like when I did the chart that I have prepared here, I did it over a couple of times. Like I did the first two, you know, and then I waited a while and then I did some others. Another thing is when we juxtapose colors, these two purples in the center here are exactly the same color. But if you cover one side and then cover the other side, because of the colors that it is beside, it makes it look like a totally different color from itself. You've probably seen that. So not only that microscopic juxtaposition of color as we glaze over colors, also what are you putting it side by side? If you want something to see more red, then you're going to put it beside a neutralized complement of that red. Instead of adding more and more and more red, you want to add actually the opposite to make it seem that way. It's like if you want something to seem lighter in your painting or your drawing, you'll just have to add more darker tones. All right, we ready for our little exercise? Whew. With your white piece of paper, and I know you just have sketch paper, what I'd like to do is, and we are going to be blending on this one after my whole thing, like, please don't blend your colors, but pick up a color, a hue from your box, and I'll go through the explanation, then we'll come back to this. Pick up a color, then do this exercise that we just did with the flag. So there would be like a black dot in the middle. I'm staring at this green until I can feel it, usually about 20, 30 seconds. Then jump over here and stare at this black dot that's on white. You'll see the after image and try to fix that in your mind. Okay, it's a light purplish pink. And then go to your box and try to find that exact complement. The next step would be, I'll come back and explain this again. The next step would be taking those two colors and working toward a neutralized color in the middle. And if you squint down at this picture, you can see that these are pretty much gray. Look, the gray here is almost like the gray of this dirty cloth, right? And that's by blending those two complements. So this one's a little more green, this one's a little more pink, but that's in the middle. But you've done it not by choosing the color, but by actually seeing the retinal complement.
Right.
And to find the optical complement, it's not going to, like this green, the optical complement, that's not a pure green. Well, it is kind of pure green, is not another hue. It's not another pure hue. It's a tint of another hue because it's a little bit darker green. So I would recommend starting with one color. Let me go back. You know, ignore the top part of this. Pick one color with a black dot. Do the staring. Then look at the white with the dot. Try to fix that after image color in your head as you go to your full set and pick out the closest color you have to that. Let's just try one to start with, okay? Instead of reaching for a black or a gray. as we have realized here, you're going to end up with much more interesting colors in your paintings.
Here are just a few paintings using this spectrum color theory approach, using optical complements. It's a little bit different. It enlivens the color and it's more accurate. So if you're interested, please contact me at TravelingArtista.com.